She yelled at the unexpected millionaire 3 heartwarming surprises revealed from his mother. Emily stood behind the counter of Mellis Diner on a balmy afternoon, her hands moving as fast as her thoughts. The late lunch rush had brought in the usual crowd, the clattering of dishes and the smell of freshly brewed coffee dancing in the air. It was the same routine. Refill mugs, take orders, and share small talk with regulars whom she cherished yet resented for how their lives had diverged. Just then, the bell above the door jingled, and she looked up to see a familiar face storm in. Jake, the childhood friend she hadn't seen in years. He looked different, wearing a tailored suit that screamed success. Her heart raced as the waves of memory washed over her. The kids they used to be, running through sunlit streets, dreaming big beneath the endless Midwestern sky. But those dreams seemed buried beneath the weight of adulthood for Emily. As Jake walked up to the counter, her well-worn apron felt like a shackle. "Jake?" she asked, surprise and resentment mixing in her voice. He turned, flashing a grin that felt more like a dagger than a welcome. "Emily. Wow, it's been a while. What happened to you?" she blurted out. "Millionaire now, huh?" The diner fell silent. Every eye fixated on the two, an unspoken tension thickening the air. People leaned in, eager to catch the unfolding drama. "You used to be just like me," she continued, her voice rising, struggling, barely getting by. "Do you even remember what that feels like?" Gasps and murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some nodded in understanding. Others looked away in discomfort. Emily's chest tightened. She needed this release, an outpouring of frustration that felt long overdue. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Jake stood, stunned. "You think it's easy?" he said, his voice trembling with emotion. "I lost my dad when I was just a kid. My mom worked 3 jobs. As he spoke, warmth seeped into the atmosphere, diffusing the tension. His mother, Linda, a woman whose kindness Emily had once known so well, stepped forward. "Jake's story isn't just about money," she told the crowd, her eyes glistening. "It's about sacrifices and dreaming big." She spoke of quiet nights spent filling out applications, the struggle of building a startup in their garage, and stumbling countless times before finally breaking through. They hadn't come from a bed of roses. They fought tooth and nail for every inch. The diner began to hum with whispers of empathy as memories flickered back to Emily, wrapped in regret and longing. Jake looked at her, pain reflected in his eyes, a shared history colliding with the harsh realities of their present. It dawned on Emily that resentment could transform into understanding, with a fragile thread connecting their fates. In this moment of raw honesty, their past illuminated before them. Confessions unspooled, voices rising low and full of hope amidst a gathering storm of emotions. Would their shared story be one of healing or regret? As the community came together, the gravity of their intersection weighed heavily. A question hung in the air, whispering of unity yet also of the burdens each individual carried. Could they find a way to lift each other, possibly even their beloved town, out of the shadows of their pasts? The warmth in the diner grew palpable, a mixture of vulnerability and shared nostalgia filling the air. Emily took a deep breath, her heart racing as she realized how much she had missed the bond they once shared. Could the pain of the past give way to something hopeful? Jake stepped closer to the counter, his brow furrowed with determination. "Emily, I'd never forgotten you. But life pulled us apart. I thought I had to prove something to the world." "And you did," she replied, an edge in her tone. "But at what cost?" The diners exchanged glances, their plates forgotten for a moment. Some were captivated by the unfolding drama, while others were reminded of their own struggles. A couple of locals murmured words of comfort, empathizing with both sides. I just wanted to make my mom proud," Jake said, his voice softening as he met her gaze. "We built this life, but sometimes it feels lonely at the top." Emily felt the weight of his admission. Loneliness was a familiar companion to her too, even within these walls filled with chatter and laughter. "You think I wanted to stay here forever?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I wanted to get out to chase my dreams like we talked about as kids." Linda approached, wrapping her supportive arm around Jake. "We all want our dreams to come true," she added, her voice soothing. "But life has its curveballs. It's okay to stumble. We have to lift each other no matter where we ended up." With those words, the diner seemed to crack open like an egg, letting hope spill out. The heaviness of resentment began to fade, replaced with a fragile desire for understanding. Emily saw the tears misting in Linda's eyes and realized just how far they had all come. Even the paths of their lives wound together in ways they had never imagined. Just as she was beginning to feel the warmth of this newfound connection, a loud crash interrupted the moment. The unmistakable sound of plates shattering on the floor made everyone jump. A waitress, startled, rushed to clean up the mess, the sound slicing through the emotional swell in the room. "Great, just what we needed," murmured Doris, a regular with a penchant for gossip. The tension threatened to rise again, but Emily quickly responded, "We all make mistakes, just like we did when we were young. Let us help her." Without another word, guests began to stand, offering their assistance. The energy shifted again. People were now banding together. Jake took a step back, watching Emily command the space with a poise he hadn't seen in years. "What are you doing?" he asked, a new admiration forming in his eyes. "Starting over," she replied softly. "Sometimes the first step is just reaching out." They worked together, laughing as they swept up the mess, and for the first time in years, Emily felt light. Burdens were lifted in shared laughter and familiar camaraderie. It turned out, this little diner could still weave magic even in the most unexpected way. As the cleanup continued, Jake turned back to Emily. "Maybe we could build something together? Help the town, perhaps?" Emily's heart skipped. The spark of hope ignited. But could she trust him not to hurt her again? Just as she opened her mouth to respond, the bell above the door jingled again, announcing yet another visitor. A shadow fell across the diner, bringing with it uncertainty and a new twist in the ever-evolving story of their lives. Who walked through that door? Was it the answer she feared or a glimmer of the future she desperately longed for? Emily's heart raced as the door swung open. A figure stepped in, silhouetted by the bright afternoon light filtering through the diner windows. The chatter around her dimmed, curiosity buzzing louder than the coffee machine. She squinted, trying to catch a glimpse of who it was. The shadow moved forward, revealing a tall man with dark curls and an air of unassuming confidence. His gaze swept across the diner, and for a brief moment, their eyes locked. It was a gaze that felt achingly familiar, yet foreign all at once. "Max," she breathed. The name slipped out before she could stop it, a whisper that seemed to hang in the air like the lingering scent of fresh coffee. Max was someone from her past, a childhood friend who had left just as abruptly as he had arrived in her life. The diner erupted into gasps and murmurs. Many recognized him, and the name rolled off their tongues like a rumor about a shooting star. Max had made a name for himself, and not just in this small town. He was a successful entrepreneur, the kind they read about in glossy magazines. "Emily?" He approached, his voice warm yet edged with disbelief. "I didn't expect to find you here." She felt the heat rise to her cheeks. "I didn't expect to see you," she replied, her composure wavering. Jake stood silently by her side, uncertain. Max's eyes twinkled with the kind of mischief that reminded Emily of their younger days. "I came to visit my mom. I heard she's been spending time here." Linda stepped up, surprising everyone with her unexpected enthusiasm. "Oh, it's so good to see you, Max." She wrapped him in a warm hug. "Your mother has missed you dearly." Jake shifted beside Emily, his patience wearing thin. He had been the center of her thoughts, and now, with Max's sudden appearance, it felt like she was flipping pages in a book she hadn't intended to read. As chatter filled the diner again, Emily felt a swirl of emotions. Memories flooded back the laughter, the innocent joys, and the connection she once held with Max before life led their paths astray. "How's your mom doing?" Max asked, smiling at Linda. "She has been great, but you know how it is. People get caught up in their lives." Linda replied, her voice laced with warmth. "We're always here for each other, though. That's what family is for." "Yeah, family." Max's voice trailed off. He hesitated, glancing around the diner, his expression momentarily clouded. "Speaking of family, I came here with a purpose." Everyone leaned in, their curiosity piqued. "What do you mean?" Emily asked, her heartbeat quickening with every word he spoke. He started and then paused again, taking a deep breath that seemed to contain his past choices in it. "I want to help my mom get back on her feet. I learned a lot out there. And this town is where it all started for me. I want to give back." Emily's heart swelled, but at the same time, doubt gnawed at her. Was this for real? Could this be a chance for transformation, not just for Max, but for everyone, including herself? Was she really ready to face the threads of her own history woven through every word he spoke? Just as the hope began to bloom, Jake cleared his throat, pulling her back into the present. "Sounds great, but what about your plans, Max? You haven't forgotten how tough it was here, have you?" The tension shifted back to Jake, and Emily caught the glimmer of something fierce in his eyes. She turned to him, her pulse racing. Would he stand beside her in this unexpected journey? Or would the past tear them apart yet again? The bell chimed again, cutting through the brewing storm of emotions, signaling that nothing was ever truly settled. What else would this day reveal? Who else might walk through that door, swinging their own shadows into the light? Max's smile faded as he studied Jake, sensing the palpable tension. The air grew heavy, as if the diner itself were holding its breath. Emily could feel her pulse quicken, caught between echoes of distant laughter and the weight of the moment. She wanted to reach out, to bridge the gap that had formed with time, but she also sensed Jake's protective stance. "Jake, it's okay," she said softly, trying to diffuse the situation. But Jake shook his head. "It's not okay, Em. This guy just waltzes back in after years, and it's not about me," Max interrupted, holding his hands up. "It's about my mom. I'm here to do right by her." A buzz of murmuring ran through the diner again, the gossip machine igniting with renewed energy. Emily's thoughts raced. What did Max really want? Did he genuinely care? Or was this just another way to soothe a guilty conscience? "Why now?" she blurted. "Why come back now after all these years?" Max's face shifted, emotions unfolding like petals of a flower. "Because I've learned that success means nothing if you can't share it with those who matter. I'm different now, Emily. I'm here to put things right." The flicker of sincerity in his eyes tugged at something deep inside her. Part of her wanted to believe him, wanted to step forward into whatever rekindled friendship might lie ahead. "I want to help my mom, and maybe help others too," Max continued. "There's a lot we can do together in this town. And what makes you think everyone will just welcome you back?" Jake challenged, his voice low yet firm. "I get it," Max said, his expression softening. "I'm asking for a chance. Just like her." Jake turned to Emily, his eyes searching hers as if trying to gauge her feelings, as if he could read the pages of her heart. She felt torn. She wanted to confront her past and see where it could lead, but she also felt the pull of her present, a life with Jake that felt steady, if not entirely thrilling. That as she stood there, the weight of everyone's eyes heavy upon her shoulders, Emily noticed Linda watching intently from the counter. Her mother's smile was reassuring, but there was a sharpness behind it, as if she sensed the storm brewing between the three of them. "Jake," she started, her voice shaky yet determined. "Maybe we should give him a chance." Jake's brow furrowed. Are you sure? After everything?" Emily stood firm, looking between the two men, feeling the fabric of her life at a crossroads. "We can't hold on to the past forever." Max's expression transformed, relief washing over him. Yet Emily knew this wouldn't be simple. Joy and uncertainty coiled within her like a thick vine. "It's not just about us, though. It's about your mom, too. What if she has changed?" Jake asked carefully, probing as if weighing the implications of Emily's willingness. Max nodded. I don't expect forgiveness right away, but I want to try. The bell chimed again as the diner door swung open once more. The sudden noise cut through the tension, momentarily drawing everyone's focus. In walked an elderly woman, small, hunched, yet carrying a spark that seemed to light up the room. "Max?" she called out, her voice laced with a mixture of hope and trembling uncertainty, as if she were finding her way back after years of silence. Emily's heart raced, a sense of impending revelation settling over her. What would this woman reveal about Max, and would it challenge everything Emily thought she knew? The atmosphere buzzed, bringing forth a sense of expectation. Who was this woman? What was happening? Just then, she knew this day had only just begun to unravel secrets that would change everything. Max's face paled as the elderly woman stepped further into the diner. Her eyes settled on him, and for a moment, time seemed to freeze. The room silenced, save for the hum of a flickering neon sign in the window. "Mom?" Max's voice was barely a whisper, but it carried the weight of 1,000 unspoken words. Her frail hand shook slightly as she moved toward him, each step deliberate yet unsteady. The years had etched canyons across her face, but the light in her gaze sparkled with recognition. "Oh, Max, I thought you'd never come back. I've been waiting," she said, tears glistening in her eyes as she reached him, bridging the years with a touch that radiated warmth. Emily watched, her breath catching in her throat. She had expected confrontation, but here was something deeper: vulnerability, a yearning that pulled at her heart. Maybe Max wasn't the only one seeking to reconcile past wounds. "Why did you leave?" Max asked, his voice cracking. "I needed you." His mother's face crumpled, the remorse heavy in her features. "It was for your own good, sweetheart. I thought I was protecting you from my mistakes, from the life I couldn't give you." Jake stood beside Emily, his posture tense, as if bracing himself for a storm. "What do you mean?" he interjected, not allowing Max's mother to sidestep the question. I was in a bad place. I thought it was better for you to have a better life than the one I could offer. So I left," she said, her voice a tremor of vulnerability. Max shook his head, frustration bleeding into his tone. "How could you think that leaving was the answer? You didn't even try." "But I'm here now," she replied, her voice rising with desperate hope. "I want to make things right. I've changed, Max. I've worked hard to bring myself back, to be a better person." Emily could see a flicker of doubt in Max's eyes, a reminder of the pain still raw beneath the surface. It was a battle between loyalty to his mother and the scars of abandonment. "We'll all have to see this through," Emily said gently, breaking the silence as the weight of the moment pressed down upon them. "It's not just about you, Max. It's about your relationship with your mom and what you both need to heal." Max turned to her, gratitude mixing with the turmoil. Could he really open his heart to the possibility of rebuilding their relationship? Just then, Linda stepped out from behind the counter, wiping her hands on a dish towel, her worry replaced by a reassuring smile. "Hey there, folks, let us take a moment. Maybe we could use some coffee and sweet treats to lighten the mood?" The suggestion hung in the air like a lifeline. The tension eased slightly, yet the unspoken words remained, layered beneath the surface. As coffee cups clinked and soft conversations resumed, the diner felt like a fragile sanctuary, a space for healing. Max and his mother stood together, still grappling with their emotions but inching closer towards understanding. "Do you really mean you want to try?" Max finally asked, vulnerability brushing the edges of his voice. "If you're willing to let me in again, then yes. I want to be part of your life." Her sincerity radiated through the air. But as the conversations flowed around them, Emily knew that while reconciliation might begin, it was far from over. Each revelation would carry the weight of the past, and within that weight, there still lingered uncertainty. As Max and his mother embraced, Emily felt a pang of realization. She had her own decisions to make, paths to explore that intertwined with their journey. And then, like an unexpected twist in a story, the door swung open again. A man strode in, his presence commanding attention. "I'm looking for Max," he called out, a grin spreading across his face. "I have some news that could change everything." Emily exchanged a glance with Jake, a new thrill of apprehension stirring within her. What news could be so vital, and how would it twist the already tangled lives before her? Max's eyebrows knitted together as he turned to face the newcomer. The man's confidence was evident, but something about him felt out of place in the cozy diner. "What do you mean, change everything?" Max asked, his heart quickening. The stranger stepped closer, brushing back his dark hair as he spoke. "I'm your brother, Max. My name is Ryan." Silence enveloped the diner like a thick fog. Max's mother gasped, her hand covering her mouth in disbelief. Emily's stomach twisted with confusion. A brother? Just when they were beginning to slice through years of resentment, another layer of complexity was added to the mix. "What do you mean, my brother?" Max's voice was barely above a whisper. His heart raced, the shock pushing back the tenderness he had just begun to feel toward his mother. Ryan smiled, a mixture of excitement and nostalgia lighting up his face. "Our mother, she has told me about you. I've been trying to find you for years. I can't believe we're finally here." "She left you too?" Max shot back, the heat of anger flaring again. "It's all a mess with her, and now you're jumping in? What's next?" "Max, please," his mother said, desperation lining her voice. "It's not like that. I didn't know how to tell you about Ryan. I thought what? That I wouldn't care? That I wouldn't want to know?" He retorted, turning back to Ryan, searching for answers in his unfamiliar face. "Why now?" Ryan stepped closer, lowering his voice. "I found out last month. I came into some money and wanted to use it to find family, maybe make amends in some way. This isn't how I planned it, but here we are." Emily's heart thumped hard in her chest. If Ryan had just come into wealth, had he come to scoop Max away from the pain they were trying to heal? It felt almost cruel how fate toyed with their lives. Max stared at Ryan for a long moment, guilt and anger fighting within him. "You think you can just waltz in here and claim to be my brother? Do you think money changes anything?" "Max," Emily interjected softly, sensing the storm brewing. "Maybe he's not here to take anything from you. Perhaps he's here to offer a chance at something you didn't even know you wanted." Max glanced back at Emily, her warm eyes providing a pool of understanding. She was right in saying he needed to navigate this moment carefully. But the air was thick, constricting. "What's the catch? What do you want from me?" For the first time, Ryan's smile faltered, a hint of vulnerability creeping in. "Nothing. I want to know you. I want to be part of your life however you choose." The words hung in the air, heavy but hopeful. Could he really open up to the idea of a brother? After the last several minutes of heartache, could he afford to take another leap? His mother stepped closer, her voice trembling. "This could be a chance for both of you, Max. To have a family after so many years." "No." He cut her off, the knot in his throat tightening. "I barely know you. How can I trust him or you?" As confusion raced within him, Linda, the diner owner, approached, an encouraging look in her eyes. "Sometimes family isn't what you expected, Max, but it can still hold the most love." With a deep breath, Max turned back to face Ryan. Could he really consider this man as blood? Was there wisdom in letting a bit of love back into his life? And just as hope flickered, the door swung open once more. An older woman, worn but vibrant, rushed in, her eyes locked on Max. "Max, they're looking for you." Max's heart sank. What now? What else could possibly change in this moment? The older woman rushed toward him, her urgency cutting through the tension that had enveloped the diner. Max recognized her immediately. It was Rita, a family friend who had been part of his life for as long as he could remember. But what could she mean? "They're looking for you?" "Rita, wait!" he called out, as she reached him, her brow furrowed with worry. "What's going on?" She stopped, catching her breath, eyes darting to the cluster of emotions swirling in the booth behind him. "It's the police, Max. They need to speak with you. They're at your house." Max's heart dropped, panic flooding his veins. "The police? Why?" "I don't know," she said, her voice shaky, but it sounded serious. "They were talking about an incident." Max felt the weight of everyone's eyes on him now. The bewilderment around him turned heavy with concern. Ryan stood slightly behind him, uncertainty etched on his features, as if he had an inkling of where this was headed. "Look," Max said, forcing himself to stay calm, "I need to go. I can't deal with this right now." He turned to his mother. Her face had drained of color, eyes wide with fear. "Max, please don't go alone," she urged, her voice barely above a whisper. "What if it's about—" "Stop," he cut her off, frustration boiling over. "I don't need this right now." He turned to leave but paused. "Rita, let us go." The diner seemed to fade behind him as he stepped into the cool evening air. It was a welcome relief, but the night brought its own kind of darkness. They hopped into Rita's old car, its familiar rumbles grounding him somewhat. But the urgency weighed heavy as they drove. "What do you think it is?" Rita asked, stealing glances at Max, who stared blankly out the window, thoughts racing. "I don't know," he replied, his voice barely audible. "But I can't help but think it's connected to—" He hesitated, the thought of Ryan lingering ominously in his mind. "Do you think it could have something to do with him?" "I really have no idea," she said softly. "You should just focus on getting home." As they neared his house, the flashing lights of police cars lit up the driveway. Panic crawled in his stomach as they parked. Rita squeezed his hand reassuringly, but the simple gesture offered no comfort now. He stepped out into the crisp night air and approached the front porch where two officers waited, their faces serious and grim. "Max," the taller one stepped forward, his voice measured. "We need to talk to you about your father." Max felt the world tilt beneath him. His father? What about him? He managed to ask, his heart pounding in his chest. "Please come inside," the officer replied, gesturing toward the doorway with a grave expression. Max hesitated, glancing back at Rita, who looked equally concerned. His mind swirled with confusion, anger, and fear. In one moment, everything had shifted from confronting secrets about family to potentially discovering devastation. As he stepped inside, he caught a glimpse of Ryan still outside the diner, standing alone, like a shadow waiting to be invited into the light. He felt a knot tighten in his chest. Why did everything feel so intertwined, like a web of choices and hasty decisions trapping him? "Max," the officer's voice broke him from his thoughts. "We really need to talk." And just then, a realization hit him. Could the police hold keys to unraveling everything? What had really happened to his father? Before he could step deeper into the house, the door swung open again. This time, it was Emily, her worried eyes searching for him. "Max," she began, and that was when his world teetered on the brink of yet another revelation. What had she found? What truth would surface now? Max barely registered what Emily was saying. His focus was now split between her anxious expression and the ominous presence of the officers standing just inside his home. The air was thick with an unease that made his throat tighten. "Emily, what is going on?" he demanded, ignoring the authoritative glances from the officers. You look scared." "I found something," she stammered, stepping closer. The raw vulnerability in her voice sent a jolt through him. "It's about your father." The police shifted, their interest piqued. Max's heart raced as he tried to piece everything together. What could she possibly have found? All these threads, the police outside, Rita's worry, Emily's urgency were drawing together in ways he couldn't yet understand. "Please, just tell me," he urged, the fear creeping into every fiber of his being. It was surreal, standing on the brink of revelations while a sense of dread pulled at his gut. "I found a letter," she said, trembling slightly, "at the house. It's from someone named Mr. Smith. He said something big is happening, something your dad was involved in. Something dangerous." "Dangerous?" Max echoed, his mind doing flips. He tried to grasp the words, the weight of them nearly crippling. "What do you mean? What did it say?" Emily looked down at her feet, drawing in a shaky breath. "It's hard to explain. It talks about debts and people who want them paid in ways that could hurt him." "Enough," the officer barked. "This isn't the right time for wait." Max interrupted, anger smashing through his confusion. This is about my father. If he is in danger, we need to know everything. The taller officer, who introduced himself earlier, glanced at his partner before nodding, as if coming to a decision. All right, but we need to get through this without distractions. Max, you need to listen. We have reason to believe your father is involved in something illegal, something that could put you and your family at risk. Max felt his world fracture further. No, my dad wouldn't. He is not that kind of guy. I'm sorry, the officer continued, his tone softening, but the evidence suggests otherwise. He has become entangled with some serious people. We need your help to figure out. Stop, Max shouted, the frustration and fear boiling over. You have no right to say that about him. He is my father. Rita stepped forward, placing a hand on his shoulder. Max, we have to listen. This is serious. As he gazed around the room, feeling the uncertainty in Emily's tearful eyes and the pressure looming from the officers, a sliver of a thought threaded through his mind. Had everyone been keeping secrets? How deep did this go? Then something inside him cracked. What about the letter? Where is it? Emily nodded as she fished it out of her pocket, hands trembling as she handed it to him. He opened it with shaking fingers, heart racing as he scanned the words. The more he read, the more his mind raced. Inside, there was mention of names he didn't recognize, threats that sent chills down his spine, and a warning that none of it was going to end well. He looked up at Emily, desperation clawing at him. Is my dad in real danger? What do we do? When the fabric of his reality felt like it was unraveling, he suddenly understood this was about more than just his father. It was about him, too, and the choices he made that might have led them here. What if he was now part of something darker than he could ever have imagined? As his thoughts spiraled, another voice echoed in his head. Ryan S. Why had he been lingering outside? Was he just a friend? Or was there more? Max took a deep breath, clenching the letter tightly. He felt the weight of decisions bearing down. He had to find out the truth, not just for his father, but for himself. Max, the officer broke through his thoughts again. We need your help. It's going to get worse unless. Suddenly, the front door swung open violently, and Ryan stepped in, breathless. You won't believe what I heard. Max's heart sank. What else could possibly unravel tonight? Ryan stood there, eyes wide, the thrill of his discovery painting a picture on his face. Max felt a surge of anxiety gnaw at the edges of his mind. The atmosphere bristled with tension, and he couldn't help but feel that whatever Ryan had to share could tip the scales of their already precarious situation. Ryan, Max said, trying to steady his voice, though it trembled with urgency. What did you hear? We need to know everything right now. About your dad. I overheard some guys talking at the diner. They were saying things. That Ryan paused, glancing nervously at the officers, lowering his voice as if afraid the walls had ears. They were saying things that make it sound like he is being watched. People are looking for him. I think they're angry about those debts and they want to collect. Max felt his stomach drop. Collect? What do you mean? You have to be more specific. The guys were talking about making an example out of him. Ryan continued, his gaze darting around the room as if he expected shadows to creep in. I didn't think anything of it at first, but now with the letter and everything else. Emily's hand tightened around Max's as he felt her fear surge. We have to do something. We can't just sit here. Do what? Max interjected, feeling the panic bubble up inside him. What do we even know? Just more talk? Just rumors? The officers exchanged glances, weighing in the weight of the situation. Every piece of information matters, Max, the taller officer said, especially if it leads us to the individuals your father may be involved with. Max's mind raced. In the past few hours, the world he knew split open like the pages of a favorite book, revealing darkness he never considered before. What if things really were worse than he could handle? He looked at the two people standing with him, his mother, who had always been a fortress of strength, and Emily, her eyes glistening with fear. If my dad is in trouble, we have to find him first. We can't wait for the police to do everything. Emily nodded fiercely, determination igniting behind her fear. You're right, but how can we find him? A sharp thought sliced through Max's mind. The letter. It mentioned something about a meeting place and address. We have to look. Could be where he is. The officers turned serious, making notes, just as Rita stepped out to the hallway. I'll check your father's study. There might be more clues, something we're missing. Mom, wait, Max called, but she was already gone, her footsteps echoing down the hall. Pit in his stomach growing heavier. He felt tension swirl in the air. Ryan, Emily, he said, urgency lighting his tone, we can't waste any more time. Let's split up and search for anything that can help us figure this out. There has to be something. If he's in real danger, we need to move now. As they began to search, Max's heart raced with a mix of fear and adrenaline. He rifled through drawers and old boxes, each one potentially holding his father's fate. Every secret they unearthed, every hint that shimmered through the confusion, was a step closer to the truth. He dug deeper into the piles of memories and artifacts of a life he thought he knew, hoping desperately to unveil what lay under the surface. Suddenly, he heard Emily gasp from across the room. Max, look at this. His heart pounded as he turned toward her voice. What could she possibly have found? He raced over, barely breathing. The question lingered in the air like smoke. Could this be the piece that would change everything? Or would it only lead them into deeper darkness? Max sprinted to where Emily stood, her fingers shaking as she extended a crumpled envelope toward him. I found it inside one of the drawers. It looks old, like it hasn't been opened in years. His heart raced as he took the envelope, recognizing his father's messy handwriting scrawled across the front. This has to be important, he muttered, a lump forming in his throat. With trembling hands, he tore it open and pulled out a stack of yellowed papers. There were documents, notes, and names he didn't recognize. The more he read, the more his stomach dropped. This is all about the debts. Emily. He was involved in something way over his head. Emily's eyes widened with concern. Max, this could be dangerous. We should show this to the police. No, he replied, urgency gripping his heart. What if they don't believe us? We need to confront my dad ourselves. If we wait too long, we might not have a chance. Before she could respond, Rita rushed in, holding a worn-out book. I found this in the study, she said, her brows furrowed in thought. It's your father's account ledger. It has records of everything he's been dealing with lately. Max felt a wave of dread wash over him. Can we trust it? Only one way to find out, Rita urged. They gathered around as she opened the book, and the weight of their shared purpose radiated through the room. One glance at the pages revealed names and figures that sent a chill down his spine. Look, Emily pointed, it mentions a meeting place. It's the same location from the letter. Max's mind raced. If my father is meeting with these people, we have to warn him. But doubt still lingered. What if they're dangerous? What if this just puts him in more trouble? Yet, as the heaviness of uncertainty filled the air, something else sparked in Max's determination. He turned to Ryan, who had been silent until now. Do you know this place? Any locals we can ask? Ryan nodded slowly, his confidence slowly returning. I do. I've heard whispers about it. It's an old warehouse by the docks. People avoid it, bad reputation. Then that's where we need to go, Max declared, adrenaline coursing through every fiber of his being. Just then, the police officers, having heard the commotion, entered the study. We need details, Max. If you want our support, we've got leads. Max interrupted, showing them the ledger and the envelope. An officer took a step back, absorbing the information. The flicker of understanding in their eyes was promising. This may tie into what we're investigating, the taller officer replied, but we need to approach this carefully. We can't rush in without a plan. Feeling the weight of the world pressing on his shoulders, Max shared a glance with Emily, finding strength in her presence. We can't wait, he replied firmly, his voice steady. I'm going. Count me in, said Ryan, his tone resolute. Emily's hand found Max's, squeezing tightly, grounding him. Then we go together, she said, defiance in her voice. As the group made hastily prepared plans, Max felt a shift deep within him. They were no longer just individuals burdened by their pasts. They were a team of family formed amidst trials, hoping to piece back together what could be lost forever. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting an orange glow over the diner as they stepped outside, determination pushing them forward. At the docks, the shadows of the warehouses loomed like dark secrets, waiting to unfold. Max felt both fear and exhilaration threading through his heart. This was a moment that could wrap up so much pain and unresolved conflict or unravel everything altogether. Each step felt heavy, both a burden of responsibility and a chance for redemption. "Stay close," he instructed, eyes scanning the area with heightened intensity. "If we find him, we need to act fast." As they approached the warehouse, the sounds of muffled voices drifted through the air. Max held his breath, knowing that obstacles lay ahead. The shadows of doubt and fear still clung, but so did the light of hope, a torch carved from their shared journey. "Let us go," he whispered, and as they moved forward, together, the door cracked open just enough to reveal the dim lights inside. What awaited them could change the course of their lives forever. In that moment, Max felt his heart rate sink with the rising tide of courage, knowing that no matter the outcome, they were here together ready to face the truth. And just like that, their journey transformed. No longer shackled by the weight of past choices, they stepped into a new dawn, all challenged to rise above and build a future they had once only dreamed of, a future built on forgiveness, unity, and an unshakable bond. As the sun set, shadows faded, and the door swung wide. They didn't know what awaited them beyond that threshold, but with hearts ablaze and hope ignited, they took the step that would lead to their new beginning. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. You need to subscribe now.